everyone, welcome back to Hope for Survival YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the new subscribers. Appreciate you joining and following along. This is Hurricane Helene Update 7, and this update will be a little different. It is more so targeted towards you, the viewer. And I want to talk to you about some of the ongoing lessons learned that hopefully you can apply to your own life in your own preparedness journey. You see, disasters are not prejudiced. They do not target specific people. They do not target specific races. They don't target specific socioeconomic levels, and they can happen at any time to anyone. It could be any kind of man-made or natural disaster. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the lessons learned that we're seeing in numerous areas impacted by the devastating results of Hurricane Helene, from the wind and the flooding that has occurred. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is community. And the items that I'm going to list here are all categories that we have covered in Hope for Survival for the last 5.5 years in preparing our people for any of these type disasters, natural or man-made. It could be losing a job. It could be a car wreck that injured you, that changes your life. So in talking about community, if you've paid attention to the numerous podcasters who are out there talking about what they're seeing on the ground, in the first days post-disaster, it has been the community that pulled together. It has been the community's resilience to be there for their people. And now, roughly a month since this disaster occurred, in several of these locations, the people are still having to stand alone on their own to try to help their people survive and do their best to recover, because there has been minimal to zero state and federal response in to help the people. Again, there has been minimal state and federal response in to help their people. So we, the people, as outsiders to the disaster area, have responded to numerous locations with resources, monetary donations to buy resources, and the time to go in and help them achieve some level of sustainability to get back on their feet to where they can function as a community and towns. A lot of the response has been to the larger populated locations, which means that the smaller communities that were destroyed seem forgotten. And if it wasn't for we the people who are reaching out to total strangers to help get our sisters and brothers back on their feet again, they would still be basically at day one. A lot of this effort and response in labor, there's still much labor that is needed in many of these communities. There's hard work, skills that are needed in numerous areas. So when I talk about community in your community, one of the things that you need to establish either on your street, your neighborhood, or whatever, or however it applies to you, is you need to now determine who in your vicinity has what skills? Do they have medical skills? Do they have electrical skills? Do they have plumbing skills? Do they have the ability to do labor tasks such as helping get water out of homes, helping get mud out of homes, helping to remove sheetrock and get it out so the framework of the home can begin to dry to try to stop mold from building, which is another long-term health issue for many of these homes where the mold process has already started. And many of them don't have mold, how to remove mold instructions or kits that you can get to remove mold. So all these different things are important in your community. Okay, you need to determine now, have meetings, get together and determine who can do what. Okay, chainsaw teams. Do you have chainsaw teams? So if you have blocked roads or trees on homes and cars, you can take your chainsaw team in and immediately get the roads cleared. You see how the national process works and the state process works is typically under any kind of disaster, the initial response is to recover and stand up critical infrastructure. That's roads, bridges, hospitals, communication centers, and so forth, to get them functioning, to get roads cleared so that emergency vehicles can get in, utility crews can get in to start recovering utilities, electrical, and so forth. If the roads are blocked or the roads have been taken out, these crews cannot get in. All right, so if you had a natural disaster and you're cut off from the outside, how will your community survive? Because it's the first days of this disaster, and now for many 30 days in, that they're having to establish all these things now, that had they established a community team, they could have been taken care of much faster. What tools do you need? What kind of equipment do you need? Where can you get it? Who's going to be responsible for what task as part of your group? So you need to give that some thought. And if your response is, well, nothing's ever happened here, ask the folks in Tennessee and North Carolina primarily, when was the last disaster that they had? For many of these towns that are wiped out, this event has not happened for many years, if ever. Communications is critical. How can you communicate with the people around you if you've lost your day-to-day communication capabilities, i.e. your cell phone? Very few people still have home phones, the old POTS line, rotary dial phones. So how can you communicate around? A good example is the Hope for Survival folks down in Waynesville, North Carolina. When all communications failed, they had no power, and they were trying to reach out. They had a pre-established communications network using GMRS radios that they test regularly, and when all else failed, they could use radios to reach out to their people to make sure they were safe, and so forth. So it's something that you might want to consider. You may be able to use walkie-talkies if you're in close proximity and your line of sight is rather flat. You can use CBs, you can use ham radios. There's all different kinds of radio systems out there that you can get and set up in your neighborhood. Okay, so another item under communications. Sometimes when you lose uh, cell phone capability, you do still maintain texting ability. So you can try texting. However, if texting doesn't work to Bobby Joe down the street or down the road, establish as a community, identify a family member or a friend that lives outside the disaster area, and oftentimes you can send a text that will go out to them that may not go out within your close proximity. Let them know in advance that they have been identified as your outside POC, and you can send messages to them and they can send messages back into whoever it is that you've identified to them. Let them know you're safe and basically what is taking place. Or if you need to get a call from out to them, get a text out to them, then if you have an emergency but you can't get local authorities, have them notify local authorities of where your address and what your emergency is. A cat stuck in the tree is not an emergency, okay? So keep that in mind. Medicinal. If you have pre-existing health issues that requires medication, i.e. insulin, you need to predetermine if you lose electricity for any period of time and your insulin is not going to be refrigerated, you need a backup plan. You need to have a secondary source or some source that you can power your refrigeration to keep that insulin cold. Okay? If it's the winter time, you may be able to put it outside. If not, then either have an alternate source such as a generator, gas powered, solar powered, that you can run your refrigeration off of. There's numerous stories out there of people who lost their insulin because of lack of refrigeration. Pre-planning can make the difference of life and death, okay? Medicinal needs. If you have a pre-existing condition that requires you to get some form of a treatment every couple of weeks, every 30 days, whatever it may be, stay active with it and ensure you're taking care of these appointments, okay? We've encountered an individual who required a treatment every 30 days and it wasn't taken care of. The disaster hit and the individual was near month 3 and near death when a med team got to them to take care of them and to get them out of the disaster area to an emergency room to take care of the treatment. Pre-planning. All right, you need to give thought to these needs and have a backup plan in the event of a disaster so that your life is not put in jeopardy because you didn't pre-plan. All right. Critical documents. So many people have lost their homes. And when they lost their homes, they lost critical documents and they lost treasured memories, things of that nature. So here is a short video to talk to you about a way that you can ensure you do not lose critical documents and treasured memories. As part of your preparedness planning, when you're creating multiple plans, your food plan, your water plan, your communication plan, medicinal plan, and so forth, one of the items that is critical to your planning in everyday life, no matter where you live, is what is your plan for your critical documents, things that you treasure, things that is not easy to access day to day, or it takes time to get your hands on copies of them if they're destroyed. So Hope for Survival created a Hope for Survival memory stick, and it's your own personal digital filing cabinet that goes with you under any circumstance. We don't want you to lose your most treasured memories and critical documents. And one of the things that we're seeing in the Hurricane Helene disaster are folks who lost their homes, and in that loss is their critical documents. Okay, and on this memory stick, you can see an example of in the top, just off center. We created this waterproof memory stick, and on it we built a digital filing cabinet, and it has 18 to 20 primary files, and then it's got about 16 to 20 subfolders within specific primary folders. Okay, and this covers things such as your wills, photographs, bank documents, miscellaneous files, insurance papers, deeds, diplomas, and an assortment of areas that you can scan and drag into these file folders. This will allow you to have everything in one location. So if you have to run from your home during any type of event, a fire, a flood, and so forth, you can either have your digital memory stick at a secondary location so you can access what you need from it, or you can just simply put it in your pocket and run with it. This allows you to be hands-free to maybe grab a child or grab a pet on your way out the door. You can obtain a copy or get your copy of this digital memory stick at the hopeforsurvival.com website. I put the link in the memory down below for you to click on it and access where you can obtain one. Again, they're $25 plus shipping, and after we pay the cost of the stick, all proceeds goes to an organization to buy food to help feed individuals in need of food for their family and their children and pets. So this is a critical part, again, of your planning, and it's something that will save you time, the headache, and the heartache after a disaster, to not lose treasured photographs, maybe your children growing up, graduations, marriages, and so forth, and also copies of your deeds, titles, loan information, bank accounts, wills, and so forth. So you can create your own stick, create your own files, or you can get one of our sticks that's already pre-built for you. You can also add folders onto the existing folders if you need to do so. So it's just a consideration. Okay, lastly, I want to talk to you about establishing what we call a cache or a cache. And this can be for any type of event that chases you from your home. All right? And what this simply means is you leaning forward, having a backup plan. In Hope for Survival, we go by one is none, two is one, and three is better. Meaning you have your plan, your backup plan, and a third plan in case the first two fail. All right. Establishing a cache is basically you pre-packing in some form of a tote, put it in trash bags, fit the trash bag down inside the tote, put the lid on it, and then seal it up with tape. Label the outside so you know what is in the tote. Okay. You want to tape it up real good to keep bugs and rodents out of the tote. Pillows, blankets, sleeping bags, clothing for everyone that it applies to, some food, and some cash. CASH, cash. Putting some cash in the event the disaster takes down ATMs and you need cash because you no longer have a home or can't go back to your home, and you need funds for what your next step of your plan is. You want to pre-position these totes or whatever you use. You want to pre-position them out of your home. If you have an outbuilding that's far enough away, that will work in some cases, but in the event of Hurricane Helene, they would have flooded. So you need to have a location where when you flee, that you can go and get these totes to establish some level of sustainability until your community can get on their feet to establish some form of a process with resources donated or brought together until outside help can get in to help you. Okay? You might want to consider following what's called the 5-5-5 plan. This means the 5-second, 5-minute, and 5-hour plan. The 5-second plan means any type of disaster that could hit your home or your community where you have to flee within 5 seconds. That basically means you getting up, alerting, and getting out the door. Aside from having a cache, this means that each family member could have a pre-packed backpack, have it in a central location near where they can all be grabbed as you go out the door. The 5-minute plan means you have 5 minutes from notification, that you have 5 minutes to grab your gear and get out the door. The 5-hour plan is just that. You have basically 5 hours planning. It could be for a hurricane, it could be for a wildfire moving through the area, it could be rising water, and so forth. So give it some consideration, learn from lessons learned from this existing disaster that's ongoing, and pre-plan for your family. Folks, this is your insurance policy for sustainability. We always consider, or we always assume, the store on the corner is going to have everything that we need. And we can always run to that store and replace what it is we need, or we can buy food, or we can get clean water, and so forth. It's not always the case. And I ask you, then what? So you need to prepare your family, build this self-sustaining insurance policy. Okay, you have to have food to survive. You have to have water to survive. But what is your insurance policy that's going to sustain you and potentially keep you alive? Okay, water. In many of the locations where this disaster hit, the water is contaminated. And I know a lot of folks buy a case or two of bottled water. And they think that that's sufficient. It's not. It's good for a day, but you're going to run out. Okay, you're going to need water if you stay in your home. You're going to need a couple gallons of water when you flush the toilet. What's your backup plan? What if the sewage starts coming back up out of the toilet? What are you going to do for your personal business sake? Have a plan. Get you a 5-gallon bucket. Get some cat litter. All right, you can utilize that. But the water's contaminated. The wells are contaminated. All right, you're going to need 3 to 5 gallons of water per person. That's 40 pounds, basically, per person of water in your household. Do you have it? If you have a water source near you, can you clean that water? Do you have a way that you can boil the water or use Clorox or tablets to make the water safe for cooking and water safe for consumption? Because you have to have water or you will die. All right. So give this thought. Learn how to take steps in the event of a disaster to keep yourself and your family alive. Okay? Again, you might be on the outside looking in, and you may have donated, and it's awesome. We love you for it. It was much needed, and it continues to be needed in most of the areas. But what about you? What steps have you taken to take care of you and your family? All right? So give these things some thought. If you have questions, you can email me at preparedness101@protonmail.com. Much of this information is on our website at hopeforsurvival.com. You can go back through. There's at least 600 documents that's been posted over 5.5 years that you can go and get checklists, how to do steps, how to clean water, how to can food, and so forth. It's all on you. All we can do is recommend it and offer ways to help you to do these tasks, but you have to take the first steps to help yourself and to help your family. I find that it's not a hard decision, but for many, it continues to be ignored, and probably 90 to 95% of the people around you, they're not prepared. All right, so take that step, get yourself and your family prepared, and it will give you a level of comfort to know that you have taken these steps. So until Hurricane Helene Update 8, which will be in a few days, I'm out of the zone at the moment, and I'm heading back in tomorrow, and the next update will be from within the disaster zone. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider subscribing, and we'll continue to get information to you. Please keep us and the victims in your prayers. There is a lot of evil working against the good that's being accomplished out there. I can't say enough praises for the volunteers coming in who are helping to push this effort forward each day to help each community achieve that sustainability level. So don't forget to give thanks, and most of all, don't forget to count your blessings. Bravo Echo out.